How's it going, everyone? It's Justin with MyManJustin's Collectible Emporium, and I'm your man for Pokemon cards, card analysis, and Pokemon investment consulting. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the kind of booming Pokemon card market that we're in, and I'm also going to showcase the 7th binder that is on my channel, and I'll talk about those cards that are in the binder and why I invested in it, talk about some notable cards in the binder. And first, I'm just going to talk about, in the last video, I mentioned that the way that cards are becoming increasing in price, it's a time where we need to kind of get creative in the ways that we're investing in Pokemon cards. And I was just going to add a little more insight into that before we got into the binder. So one of the ways I would advise for good investing practices at this kind of time where prices are really increasing, especially on the Wizards of the Coast era cards, is, for example, investing in cards that are worth at least $300 right now in a PSA 8 grade, and investing in raw versions of those cards that would make around a PSA 5 grade. For example, like Gold Star cards right now. Gold Star cards in, for example, light play kind of grade in a raw form may be a good investment right now for a longer term investment. And when I say long term, this could be anywhere from 1 to 2, maybe even up to 3 years. Because right now, the light play cards in raw condition are kind of being overlooked, which means that there's less buyers looking at these cards, and you can get them at a kind of a under market value. Because people right now are really going for the raw versions when they're scanning through eBay or something. They are looking for those near mint or mint cards because they want to grade them and hopefully get that PSA 10 or even a PSA 9 and be able to get a quicker investment on their money in that way. But cards in lower conditions do become extremely valuable in the long term as time moves on. For example, already the Gold Star Espeon, which is kind of a different example of the Gold Star card that's worth a lot more than the average Gold Star cards. Just a couple months ago, a near mint version of that card was sold for like $500. Now, a PSA 10 variation of that card, for example, a PSA 10 Gold Star Umbreon and a PSA 10 Gold Star Espeon, just sold for $10,000 last month. So roughly we can say $5,000 each. So now even a PSA 1 of that card is already worth a lot of money, and a PSA 1 is I believe that's poor condition, and that's still going to be worth probably around $1,000. So that's an example of eventually, once the higher grade cards kind of get fleshed out and the lower grades become more in demand because the higher grade cards become either so rare and not being sold or just so expensive, collectors will start wanting these lower grade cards and the price will start increasing on those lower grades. So if now you can scan through and find those lower grade cards in a good grade, you can get them graded, you can sit on them for a while. They're a nice card for a collection just by themselves. The Gold Star cards are a great subset of cards to collect, and in the long term I think we're going to see some increase in value on those lower grades below 7. So that's just one example of how you can kind of get creative right now and not buy cards that are kind of maxed out in value. Another kind of creative thing you can do as far as cards that are in lower grades is that I would say for cards that are in lower grade, these are the kind of cards that are good to put together in collections, like a full Team Rocket set or any of the Wizards of the Coast sets. You wouldn't really want to sell a raw mint full set, because in graded versions, if some of those cards are 10s, one of those cards in 10 might be worth half or 75% of the whole set. But a good thing to do to kind of get a premium on cards is to sell them as a complete set. And a lot of times collectors like to have complete sets so they can put in a binder, but they don't want to have the cards that are just in a binder to be gem mint cards. It's just not a very practical way to collect cards, because they can just be so much more valuable when graded. So that's just another way to kind of put together sets. You get a premium for putting together the whole set. It looks nice. Some people like to collect raw, so they can put it in binders and see their set. That's kind of one of the downsides, I would say, in getting your cards PSA graded, because they can no longer be put in those sleeves and be flipped through nicely to kind of see a nice comprehensive set and enjoy the artwork of the set as a whole. And so that's just another kind of way that you can get cards a little cheaper and maximize the value on them. And like I've said before, another way you can look at the Pokemon market is kind of like a stock market mixed with the art collecting market. It's kind of a mix of the two. The prices go up and down based on demand, and it can be very diverse, because some cards play better, and that increases their value. Some cards are just liked more and appreciated more aesthetically than others, and that increases the value of it. So there's just a lot of variables that can change the value of cards. And so in that way, the way that goes up and down based on demand is like a stock market, but at the same time you get a tangible asset as you do with art collecting. And that's kind of nice to have something tangible, so that you have something physically that you own, that you can kind of touch and feel and see as something you own, rather than just have your money invested and have the way that it increases in value kind of apart from your control. I think you have a little more control over your investments with Pokemon, especially if you have good understanding of the market and the cards themselves. And just to show you some cards that I'm getting sent in to PSA right now to get graded, these are all cards that I am hoping to be PSA 10, because with these kind of cards, you really do want to get the PSA 10 grade. There's a huge difference in these kind of newer cards, that there is a lot of mint and near mint cards out there still, that you want to get the PSA 10 grade. The PSA 10 from the PSA 9 can be a very big difference. It might be, if it's maybe worth 20 in PSA 9, it could be worth 50 to 100 in a PSA 10 form. So these are just cards. These are the rare reverse holos in the EX Delta species set. And of course we have evolutions, which are going to be popular cards. This reverse holo Rayquaza is also a nice card. It's kind of falling there. These ones actually aren't reverse holo, but still I think they're really nice artwork, and a little less known evolutions. And pretty much all of them in the set. Dragonite, another popular card, of course. Mewtwo. So these will be sent in. I'll let you all see them. Right now, PSA return times are taking about 4 months, so it'll be a while before we get an update on these. And here is binder number 7 on my channel. I just recently purchased this from a guy named Steve. Shout out to Steve if you're watching. Thank you for selling me and actually trading me this set. I actually, with this set, decided to do a bit of a trade. I got a good deal on this by a trade, and what I did is I sold cards or traded cards that were really sought after and quick selling for these kind of cards that might take a little bit longer to sell, but it's justified because the price was good, and the condition on these, and none of these are really gonna be gradable cards. Like you can see here, there is some creasing in them, but these cards are actually good. Like you don't need to really be too worried about these kind of cards, because there is a market for these, because like I was just talking about, these are the kind of cards that are good to have for collectors that want a complete set and don't even want to have a mint card in a complete set. As long as they can be seen in a binder like this and not look like horrible, you can still see all the art and the card without any huge defects. You can still appreciate it. It still looks fine in a binder, and as long as cards are like that, as long as they can still look good in a binder, there's still going to be a market for them, especially for people that are on a lower budget, that can't afford a mint card. This is a great option for people like that. So that's why I invested in these the kind of lower grade cards, because there is a market for them, and I want to be able to help out people and supply cards for people that are on lower budgets as well. Some of the more popular cards are going to be like these Evolutions from Jungle, as well as that Jolteon, Mr. Mime, popular, Scyther, Snorlax. These are all kind of staple cards from that set. Here, and like I said, this is kind of like art collecting. It's almost like vintage book collecting too. Just like with books, there's a first edition version that are always going to have a premium. It's nice because it's kind of like an additional piece of art on the card itself. So some collectors don't really care about the first edition, because essentially all the cards are limited printing. Even the unlimited versions also had a limited printing. These are just the first set of cards that happen to get a stamp. You're going to get the same artwork, but I personally like to have that additional piece of art, additional piece of story on the cards when I collect. So it's cool. Here, this is one of the error cards. You can see it has 2,300 instead of 2,000. And then there's also some of the newer cards here. And I don't mind selling these. I like to also mix up my inventory to have cards from newer sets as well, because these are the cards that are going to be used by a different set of people that actually play the game. And these are going to be more common for people like that, although there is cards that are worthy to add into collections, like this card would be a card that people wanted for playing the game, as well as for collectors of Evolutions. And this is kind of a smaller binder, so it won't take too long to get through. Have some old EX cards, newer GX, older EX, and these new V cards as well, with the newer Pokemon. See here. Continue on. Some shiny cards. These, I will say about shiny cards, since Hidden Fates was so hot, and there's just people opened so many booster packs looking for that shiny Charizard, it really did devalue the cards in the set as a whole, including the shiny cards, because there's just so many of them out there. I mean, this might sell for $2.50. So it's just something to note. It's like, yeah, it's a shiny, and shiny are generally going to be more valuable because the shiny variation is just a historically rare variation of the card, but not so much with Hidden Fates. It's actually pretty common, which is cool though, because you can get a whole shiny set for fairly inexpensive, and it might be something that'll be worth more in time. But like I said, there's a lot of them made, there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of them in mint or near mint plus condition. So I wouldn't expect them to raise in price drastically anytime soon. I mean, it could be 10 years before those became some kind of viable investment for like a monetary investment. Here we have some of those EX cards, the Black Kyurem, the White Kyurem, another variation of the Black Kyurem. Got some doubles also. The hyper rare Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. And this, again, this is probably, I mean, even though it's a hyper rare, probably an $8 card right now. All these are going to be doubles. The Pinseer GX. I mean, this is less than a $2 card. These Jesse and James were also the market is flooded with them right now because they're part of Hidden Fates and they're one of the more common full art cards to get. The Hidden Fates Charizard is again fairly cheaper. You can get it for under $7 usually. And there's the ones that were got in the tins. The Onyx. Another, you can get it for less than $2 to around $2. Same with the Wigglytuff. Giovanni's Exile, another common full art card in the Hidden Fates. The Raichu as well, this is the tin, the one that's found in the tin. And even more of them. So I mean, you can even see when you buy collections and you see that there's a lot of a certain card. I mean, that's going to usually speak universally. It just speaks to the fact that this was a more common card to pull, because you can tell that this person was opening packs, and you can tell by the cards that are in the collection of what they put together that those cards that are going to be multiple duplicates are that way for a lot of people. That means a lot of people were commonly getting those cards, and they're going to be less desirable because more people already have them, and they're going to be less expensive because there is more of them out there in the market. So that just wraps up this binder. It's a nice mix for the newer playing collectors as well as people that are trying to complete sets from when they stopped collecting when they were younger, which is it's good to have that kind of wide market inventory, because you want to be able to supply to all kinds of collectors. So that's the kind of angle I was going for when I agreed to purchase this set. It's just a nice kind of balanced inventory for my store, so I can kind of hit that target for all customers. Here's that pre-release Gyarados. Like I said, I'm going to do a video that includes pre-release cards, promotional cards, and all cards that are not part of normal sets that were given out or gotten in ways other than normal sets. And I'm going to do a video of all those cards that were released in the Wizards of the Coast series. So I'm putting that together right now. I'm actually in the process of buying more of those cards. I'll have more of those to actually show you when I make that video. I'll make one note of this full art Mega Charizard. I think this is one of the really good cards in XY Evolutions. I think they did a great job. This is probably my favorite Mega Charizard artwork, and it's a fairly common card. You can get this card in $60 or $70 in PSA 10, and this card is a easy card to grade. I've sent in 2 of these, and both of them I got PSA 10. I might send this one in as well, as a matter of fact, especially because PSA has a promotion going on right now. And so yeah, it's just a good thing to know. You can find these for less than $20 usually, maybe a little over 20 in mint condition on eBay, and they're fairly easy to grade in PSA 10. So if you want to make a quick flip that way, that's possible too. And here's the one Level X card. Platinum and Diamond and Pearl sets I've talked about a little bit in the past. I think those sets were a little lackluster overall. The Level X cards were nice though. I think that they did a good job with those. The only problem with those sets is that there wasn't a lot of Level X cards per set, and there wasn't a lot of special cards or secret rares. They were kind of lacking in that. There is the shiny set, the SH shiny sets with the shiny Melodic and the shiny Vulpix, which are really, really cool cards. But overall, I just found even the artwork on the normal cards a little bit lackluster, and I don't usually collect those, but the Level X I do, even though they still aren't worth much, usually under $10 in less than mint condition. So there it is. There's binder number 7. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from my little analysis at the beginning, and I will have another binder coming in this week, and I'll show that to y'all, and we'll talk about it. And until next time, thanks.